Okay, so in this video, we're still talking about the professional experience section, but we will be focusing on the achievement-oriented model. Let's dive in. Okay, so the achievement-oriented model, just very quickly, let me tell you, it's a bit more concise. And if you're wondering why it's different from the STAR model, it's a bit more concise. It's straight to the point. If you look at two professional experience sections, one written with the achievement model, the achievement oriented model, and another one written with the STAR model. You might not see a lot of differences, right? But depending on what you're experiencing and where you're coming from, you might find it a bit more helpful to use the achievement oriented model, particularly if you have some experience in Canada already. At the end of the video, we'll show you instances where you might want to use the achievement oriented model rather than the STAR model. So let's dive in. So the first thing, there are three parts to the achievement oriented model. The first part is the action verb. So you want to be starting um, your statement with a strong action verb. Like, it has to clearly communicate what you did. Remember in the video on the professional experience section, we said try to stay away from verbs that make you sound a bit dormant or just like any other team member. Things like participated in, helped with. Maybe I would even say supported with, maybe stay away from that also. So try to start with a strong verb, a strong action verb that clearly communicates what you did in the project. The next part of it is the task or the project. So you want to briefly describe the project or the task that you worked on. Then the third part is the impact, the result. You want to quantify the impact or the results of your work with things like percentages, an increase or a decrease. So I know that we have the tendency to look at decreases with a negative lens, but think about it. If you decreased wait time, so that's something that's good. Maybe customer wait time, or if you decreased processing time, that's good. Um, However, if you decreased processing time and you were able to increase customer satisfaction, I would say start with increased customer satisfaction by decreasing processing time, just so if somebody who is impatient is reading, or if the ATS is not well set up. So your impacts will be things like time saved, cost reduction, percentages, and things like that. So let's move on and okay, so now we're looking at the examples, right? And the first statement says developed and deployed scalable software solutions for the fintech industry, resulting in a 30% improvement in system efficiency. I just wanted to very quickly mention that these are very general statements. Your own statement may be a bit more specific, except you worked with like a consulting company or a company that generally serves an industry, then this would make sense. So just think of your own situation and use the model. Try not to focus too much on the specific examples we're using in this video. Remember, it's about the model and how it applies to your specific situation. The other example here states managed a cross-functional team of 15, overseeing project timelines and budgets to deliver key initiatives on time and within scope. Also, it talks about, how you manage the team and, how you deliver the project on time and within scope. Let's look at the different parts of the statements and how they represents the achievement oriented model. If you look at this very well now, you'd see that the parts that's made bold are the parts where we have the action verbs developed, deployed, managed, implemented. Strong words shows exactly, what you did. The next part, the parts that are in italics, that's the part that represents the task or the project. So in this case now, scalable software solutions for the fintech industry. Also, in the second example, we talk about managing a cross-functional team of 15 to oversee project timelines and budgets. So that's like the task. And the parts that are underlined are the parts where the results are mentioned. So if you look at this now, it talks about a 30% improvement in system efficiency. The second example talks about delivering key initiatives on time and within scope. Very key, very important to highlight these three parts so that you will be able to answer that so what question. Again, the so what question. You manage a cross-functional team of 15 to oversee project timelines and budgets. If your statement ends there, so what? What happened as a result of that? What's in need for me as an organization? If I'm a recruiter and I'm reviewing your resume, how can I sell you to the hiring manager, right? So if you include the impact and the results, it's very easy. That's why I hear people say, oh, I sent my resume to the recruiter, they forwarded it to the hiring manager, but I didn't hear back from them. Maybe there just wasn't anything that the recruiter could sell about you to the hiring manager. So things like, oh, yeah, this person has done this to help the organization achieve this. It's easier for that to resonate than, oh, this person has done this. I hope that makes sense to you. And just moving on very quickly to talk about when to use the achievement oriented model. When you need to communicate your achievements quickly and clearly. So I personally have struggled with the star model in the cases where there's so much to explain with the situation and the task, and sometimes even the task already kind of provides some insights on the situation. So I feel like it's a repetition and it can make my resume a bit longer. So that's one. If you find yourself in the same situation, maybe that's where it is. This second point is particularly very important. If you've gained some Canadian experience and the organization you're talking about is one that's in Canada, the language is very similar in the industry, the context is clear, then you may want to skip, the star model and focus more on the achievement oriented model because the language is clear. There's only for clarifications around the size of the company, the size of the population, the currencies and things like that. So if there's clarity, if you have some Canadian experience already, you just want to like explore other industries, maybe the star model might not be the best for you. You might, find it easier to use the achievement oriented model. And the next video here, the next point here talks about when if you want to summarize multiple roles or projects, and you need a concise format. So if it's multiple roles and projects around the same tasks. So you may want to just use the achievement oriented model to kind of summarize it in a concise format rather than describing it's the same project. They're similar projects. So rather than describing helps to we needed to implement a CRM system, and then again you're saying to implement a CRM system, and then that's repetition, and we know that time and space are very critical factors for your Canadian resume. So I would say when you want to summarize multiple roles or projects and you need a concise format, you may want to use the achievement oriented model. I hope you found this video helpful and are able to use it for your own work and your Canadian resume. We wish you all the best and thank you for watching. Bye.